Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a review and I'm going to brew some iced coffee with this Hamilton Beach Rapid Cold Brew Hot Coffee Maker, model number 42500. So the main reason I got this was for cold brew coffee. It says it can do cold brew coffee in less than 6 minutes instead of letting it soak overnight in like your cold brew coffee maker in your refrigerator, which I've been doing a lot of that lately. So I will do a comparison with my cold brew out of the refrigerator compared to a cold brew in under 6 minutes with this machine. So the machine looks really nice. It does come in two different colors. There's a black, the white. So even though the picture of the white looks like it's an off-white, it's a really bright white. So you got this removable drip tray. You've got this lever here. That's where the hot water is going to come out. This is where you put the water. There's these steps back there. It's got a 8, 12, and 16 ounce step. It's going to brew whatever amount of water you put back here. Each time you hit the brew button, it's going to brew. Over here we got this selector, cold brew and hot brew. And then a power button. So that starts the brew. So the unit is normally powered off. So be careful. When you press that, that starts the brew. You have a bold brew. The light's really dim. Yeah, so it's kind of a little hard to see, but you can deselect it. Up here we've got this like brew basket. It's a little different. I've never not used to something like this. After you brew coffee, this gets really hot, so be careful right here. So here we have the brew basket. It's got this unlock and lock symbol, but there's really no lines up here to line up. You just got to turn it a little bit and then it pops off. There's a brew basket in here. Now this will hold up to 30 grams of coffee, 6 tablespoons. You can put up to 6 tablespoons and you can put up to 16 ounces of water in the back. So you can brew a 16 ounce travel mug full of coffee. The manual does have a really nice chart. So they got hot mode and cold mode. So 8 ounce, 10 ounce, 12 ounce, 14, 16. So for a 16 hot ounce, you'd put 3.2 tablespoons. For a hot ounce or a cold 16 ounce, you'd put 6 tablespoons. So that does hold quite a bit. Again, this does not do K-cups. This only does ground coffee. You're gonna put your ground coffee in here. Again, don't put any more than 6 tablespoons in there. It's got a little O-ring. That looks like it feels like metal. It might be metal, but it might be plastic filter material. Here we got kind of the brew hopper. This just pops off. The coffee comes out here at the bottom. And this just sits in there any old way. You push it down a little bit and you can feel that O-ring grab. Now when you go to put this back on, you can start in about 4 different spots. There's no certain particular spot you have to start. Just when it goes down, just keep turning it, and then finally it'll kind of go down into a groove, and then it locks. So just a little bit and turn, because that has to line up with one of these spots here. So that when you put it in, see there's a notch there. That notch is lined up with that notch. And so in order for the brewer to work, it has to sit there like that. And then I can put the brew head down, lift this little lever up. That undoes the latches. This is like an O-ring or something, like rubber. It's going to seal around that when you push it down. This thing fits a really tall travel mug, 7.5 inches. And then the drip tray, you're looking at about 5.25. So it's very simple to operate. You're just going to put whatever water you're going to brew back here. You're going to put your coffee grounds in. You're going to close this, turn this to cold brew or hot brew, and then just hit the start button. And if you want to do a bold brew, make sure you hit that before you hit the start button. So let's do a cold brew. I've really been liking cold brew lately, so let's see how this does with cold brew. Okay, so I brewed one earlier. So these are 16 ounce insulated mugs. So I'm not going to brew a full 16 ounces. Because you want the cold brew to be kind of a concentrate. I tried 10 ounces earlier and it was actually a little bit too weak. because by the time you add the water, and I add a little bit of milk to make and some vanilla to make a vanilla iced coffee, you're gonna need, so 8 ounces, I think is gonna be about the right amount to brew into this 14 ounce tumbler. So I'm gonna brew 8 ounces, I'm gonna put 8 ounces of water in the back, and I'm gonna do cold mode. So I'm gonna put 2.8 tablespoons. I'm gonna put 3 tablespoons in. So it takes just standard drip coffee maker coffee. It's ground at a medium grind. So I don't know if it's better to take this out and fill it up or fill it up with, because you can hold it like this. So let's just do 3 tablespoons in there, just like that. Again, I could put up to 6 tablespoons. That's really nice that I can put up to 6 tablespoons in there. And again, I got to put this lid on. Okay, then when you turn it, it kind of locks and it won't turn anymore, and you can't lift it up. I'm going to place it right here. Let's put our water in. So each time I do a brew, I have to put the amount of water in that I want to brew. So it's a little tricky. I got to fill it up to the 8 ounce mark. That's a little step down there. I don't want to go over it. There, 8 ounces. Now, one thing I did notice, I did have a little bit of a kind of a plastic smell. If you stick your nose down here around this reservoir, I did smell kind of a plasticky smell when I first did it. You run fresh water through the machine first before you brew with it. Now, I didn't taste any of it because I've been brewing some coffee with it, but I did have just a little bit of smell down there. So they got a little note here. For cold brew cycle, fill the water reservoir. In 20 seconds, water will pour over grounds. Unit will pause for the 45 seconds for the bloom, and then brewing will resume. I did notice it does start to brew right away. Close this, push this down till it snaps. Okay, I've got my tumbler in here. Normally I'd have this full of ice and just brew it over ice, but I want to show you the brew. I got the switch in cold brew. I'm not going to do a bold, just hit the start button. Now it's not super loud, but water does start to come out really quick. But it's not very hot. $125. There, it stops. So it is trying to make a bloom. We can't open it up and see, but so it pauses and then it's going to resume the brew. But it never gets that hot again. It kind of works its way down. So there's 121. Now when we brew hot coffee, it's around 200 degrees. So now we're starting to step down. See, it's going down gradually. And it just keeps going down the entire brew, the rest of this brew. 113. And when you do the bold brew, it just pauses a lot more. It takes a lot longer to brew whatever amount you're brewing. I do notice it splatters. So you want to get your mug up as high as you can, but I'm using a tumbler, so I can't use the drip tray. But I am definitely getting splatters. Even with that much exposed, it is splattering. Here's towards the end. Again, it's 70 degrees coming out towards the end, and it's really clear. I can hear a pump running towards the end, and then this light flashes 5 times when it's done. You don't hear any beep. There's no beeping at all with this machine. There, it's flashing. It does drip for a while. There is nothing to prevent it from dripping, other than you just got to let it finish. Okay, so let's see, what did that temperature end up being of the cold brew? That's 88, 90 degrees, 94. So, yeah, not too bad. Doesn't look too weak. Okay, so I've added my ice. And again, you could brew this into ice. It does end up with a pretty cold iced coffee, but that it is starting to melt the ice, which is sort of making it look a little weaker. But you want to be around 35, 36 degrees. I like to add a little milk with about a quarter cup with my iced coffee. And then I like a French vanilla, 2 tablespoons, I call them 2 dabs. Okay, so I'm gonna taste compare it to, I got this mason jar cold brew that I make in the refrigerator. I let it sit in there for 36 hours. And that's kind of like a concentrate. So I made an iced coffee with it. And with this, I did a taste test. This one's weak. I really wanted this machine to work, but doing a cold brew in less than 6 minutes, it has the potential to taste good. It definitely tastes like an iced coffee in that it's just weak. This is a very rich, very flavorful, bold coffee taste. So it did take away the bitterness and it is a smoother tasting coffee doing it with the cold brew, but it's just weak. Now, one thing it says, this metal here gets really hot. Now, it doesn't take long for it to cool down. It says wait 5 minutes. It's been at least 5 minutes now. Now I can touch it. You're just gonna lift this handle up. There's the brew head. And then you're gonna lift this off. And cleanup is very simple. You're just gonna pull this off. It doesn't make a huge mess. Everything stays pretty much in the coffee grounds. So there's the brew of the coffee grounds. So all these parts are dishwasher safe. So it looks like they're very easy to put in the dishwasher. Okay, so I want to give it another try. I put 5 tablespoons of coffee grounds in, and I'm gonna do another cold brew. I got 8 ounces of water back here. I'm gonna do a bold brew. Okay, I'm gonna do a brew with bold brew, cold, more coffee. Okay, so when I did the bold brew, it took about 30 seconds more. The temperatures were all the same. I just want to see it's maybe looks a little darker with the more coffee grounds. Let's add our milk, and I already added my vanilla. Okay, so with adding more coffee grounds, you're starting to get close. Now, it's starting to get close to an actual cold brew coffee maker. You know, this one's got a filter in it that I've already taken out. But so here I've got the cold brew I made in the refrigerator for 36, almost 48 hours. This one I just made, I had to increase the coffee grounds. The drink's not as cold. I might have to add a little bit more ice. It's getting watered down a little bit. But I'm starting to get the same iced coffee. Now, is it exactly the same? No. This one's definitely a richer and a bolder coffee taste that's smoother and less bitter. Now, this is smoother and less bitter. But I have more of a brewed coffee taste, more of a hot coffee taste. So let's take a look at the coffee grounds that I added. See, I added more coffee grounds. You can see it did have a little bit of a bloom on it. So the chart, you know, I wouldn't brew, so for a single iced coffee, I wouldn't brew any less or any more than 8 ounces. You know, if you start getting into these 6 ounces for an iced coffee, I think it's going to be too watered down. So I would definitely almost double the coffee grounds in the cold mode. So let's do a hot. Okay, I got my coffee grounds in. I got my water in. I did notice the smell back here has gone away. I'm finding it kind of hard to put the correct amount of water in. Just finding that water, it keeps wanting to go over that 8 ounce step, and I don't realize it's going over that little step. Close this. I'm gonna put this to hot. We'll just do a normal brew. So it starts brewing right away. Water's noticeably hotter. 144 starting out. And Again, it's ramping up pretty quick. 165, 170, 178. So it's ramping up really quick. I'm only doing an 8-ounce coffee. Again, make sure you put your drip tray on. Get it as close as possible. It doesn't splatter as much when you get the cup really close. 187. 190. 194. Again, it does make a really hot cup of coffee. So now it's finishing up. So I saw 194 coming out the bottom. We end up with a cup of coffee that's about 165. That's a pretty standard cup of coffee. So not extraordinarily hot. Okay, it is a little loud towards the end with a pump running, but then the light flashes and then turns off. So the coffee maker turns itself off when it's done brewing. There's no warming plate, nothing that stays on inside. There's our 8-ounce cup of coffee. So I've done a taste test. That's a pretty standard cup of coffee like you'd get from a drip coffee maker. Now, you are going to have just a little bit of sediment in there because of the type of filter it uses. It doesn't use a paper filter. It uses a reusable filter. Anytime you use a reusable filter, you get just really, really fine sediment that kind of settles in the bottom of your coffee mug. So let's see how these coffee grounds did. So yeah, you can definitely see the leftover, like the bloom that it definitely created. Cleanup is very simple with this. As long as you let this cool, cleanup is very simple. I'm not noticing a bunch of mess up here on the brew head. That looks like it's staying pretty clean. I am noticing, I think the water comes out at the side here. Yeah, because what I've noticed is like a line. So I noticed like a line in the coffee, like it's brewing from here to here. So where this thing's gonna shine is so on hot. If you got a big 14 ounce is usually what a travel mug is. You can put up to 3 tablespoons, but if it's not strong enough for you, you can keep going. You could go all the way up to 6 tablespoons if you wanted to. But you could put, so for a 14-ounce travel mug, I might put about 3.5, almost 4 tablespoons. So for doing travel mugs, this is going to be very nice. Cold coffee, it can do a cold coffee or a cold brew coffee. Increase the amount. Make sure you're doing a small amount of water. Everything is dishwasher safe except for the unit itself, of course. It's got electricity going to it. Monthly cleaning, they want you to do, run vinegar through it. I'm going to do a separate video on how to clean the unit. Looks like it has a, yeah, we're just going to run some vinegar through it and then some fresh water through it. So cleanup is simple to operate. It did have a little bit of a plastic smell to it at first. It went away. I never tasted the plastic in it. Iced coffee, that was going to be a pretty tall order. I mean, that's a pretty big deal to do a cold brew in 6 minutes and have it taste like a cold brew that comes out of your refrigerator. I don't think it was there, even with increasing it. It does taste good, but boy, once you start with these different types, there's all kinds of different cold brews you can do in the ice box with absolutely no electricity, nothing. You just put the coffee in, you let it sit for 48 hours, 36 hours, and it comes out really nice. So I've really started to get into cold brew coffee, iced coffee. So I like the looks of it. And again, for travel mugs, it's definitely going to be, it's going to be a really nice coffee maker for a travel mug. It doesn't do K-cups, it only does coffee grounds. It's not noisy, and it is relatively quick. Thanks everybody for watching.